So, like me, some of you might have heard it thrown around that the Everquest emulator, the hero's journey, was making 100,000 per month before it got shut down. Where'd that number come from? Is it complete BS? That's what I'm going to walk you all through, hopefully without it adding more disinformation to the pile. So, having read through all the court documents, basically there's two places where THJ's revenue, and that's in the form of donations, has been mentioned. First, Daybreak submitted as part of the documents in support of their preliminary injunction an anonymous email saying that in December, THJ was earning about 20,000 per month. So that's probably an 8 out of 10 on the BS meter, just one and on the internet, but it's one point of reference at least. Second, if you look into the transcript at the preliminary injunction hearing, you'll see some discussion of this point, and I'll just read it here. Mr. Dalton here is THJ's counsel, and this is him talking to start off with. There's been no jump in THJ users. There's also been no big jump in revenue. This notion of 5 times, I don't know where that comes from. They were making about 20,000 a week before. They're still making that or a little bit less because people aren't donating as much because of the restriction, because that's not new ads. That discussion is not true. There's been no 5 times jump. The court. So you're saying they're still making 20,000 a month, not 100,000 a month. Mr. Dalton, no, I'm saying that they've been making 20,000 a week or so. They were making even more than that before, and that's been happening for some time. The court, a week or a month? Mr. Dalton, a week. So there's been no big. The implication obviously was like things have gone like a hockey stick. That was in Miss Chan's declaration. There is no hockey stick. There's on numbers, on players, on money. So there isn't any jump. Right. So more than 20,000 per week and for some time. So maybe that 100,000 per month wasn't so far off. Let's just go with that as the peak and make a few simple assumptions to guesstimate a total amount. Putting down 20,000 for December for lack of a better figure than in the anonymous email. Then again, let's say 100,000 per month. For the 3 peakish months of THJ, they had Planes of Power launch in March, so I think that was about the height of the activity. And from there, let's just interpolate. Again, just using rough round numbers. And then finally, the lawsuit was public in mid-June, so that probably had a chilling effect, as he mentioned in the court proceedings. And that totals up to 515K. Let me know in the comments if you think it was more or less than that during this period. Again, this is just a complete guesstimation based on what we've seen in the court documents. I haven't had any interaction with the developers behind THJ or their counsel, etc. So again, this is just a guesstimation based on what we see in the documents. They've recently reopened donations to help with the legal costs, but the dynamics are so different now that I couldn't start to guess what those figures might look like now that the server's down. All right, so that's just revenue. What we really don't know at all is on the cost side. Hosting, etc., probably isn't that expensive, maybe 1,000 a month at most for this size of an operation. We don't really know what other expenses they had. Was the LLC paying developers, or was money being extracted from it otherwise? All of that isn't in the public record as far as I've seen. One thing we do know, however, is that they agreed to put whatever money is still in the LLC into an escrow. But if you look at another of the files in the docket, they're also allowed to spend it on professional services and reasonable business expenses. Well, that sounds to me like lawyer's fees and checks out against the reopening of donations for that purpose. Now, THJ's counsel hasn't exactly been that successful so far, but the work product does look pretty high quality. Like the judge wasn't trashing it like a Trump lawsuit or anything. And they've produced a lot of material, fighting the temporary restraining order, fighting the preliminary injunction, and more, even before it's even started getting into discovery and such. So I'm pretty sure that's been pretty expensive for them. So That's undoubtedly going to continue also being costly, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if they eat through all of that revenue from earlier this year pretty quickly, if they intend to fight like they've positioned to so far. But I guess we'll see. Anyway, hope that sheds some light for y'all on where those numbers are coming from that you might have heard tossed around. And let me know in the comments again if you think I'm too high or too low with the guesstimation. And good luck out there, everyone.